This one was sent in by a subscriber named Sarah from Ohio. She asked to stay anonymous, so we'll just call her S. S and her husband Mark finally achieved the classic American dream last year. They moved out of their cramped apartment and into a nice, quiet suburban house. You know the type. Cul-de-sac, friendly neighbors, perfectly manicured lawns. To make their neat castle feel even safer, they did what everyone does. They got a Ring doorbell. It was great. They could see package deliveries, shoo away solicitors, and wave to neighbors from their phones. It was security theater, and they loved the show. The first notification came on a Tuesday, around 11 p.m. S's phone chimed with the familiar tone. Motion at your front door. She figured it was a cat or a raccoon. She tapped the notification. The live view loaded, showing an empty porch, the picture crisp and clear under the porch light. She was about to close it when she saw something. At the very edge of the frame, in the dark strip between their house and the neighbor's fence, was a sliver of a face. Just one eye and part of a cheek, barely visible. It was so still and so perfectly placed in the shadows that it almost looked like a trick of the light. She shook it off. Pareidolia, seeing faces where there aren't any. She dismissed it and went to bed. The next night, another notification. Motion at your front door. 11:03 p.m. Her stomach did a little flip. This time, the face was more visible. The man, it was clearly a man, had taken half a step out of the shadows. He was gaunt, with hollow cheeks and dark, sunken eyes that seemed to be looking directly into the camera lens. But he wasn't looking at the door. He was looking at the camera. He just stood there, motionless. S woke Mark up, her hand trembling as she showed him the phone. Look, there's someone there. Mark squinted at the screen. What? I don't see anything. She thrust the phone at him. Right there, in the gap by the fence. But by the time he took the phone, the live feed was gone, replaced by the message, live view ended. He pulled up the recorded motion clip. It showed 15 seconds of their empty porch. The shadowy gap by the fence was just an empty, dark space. The man wasn't there. Babe, you're exhausted, Mark said, rubbing his eyes. It's probably a glitch, a shadow from the tree. Go to sleep. She felt crazy. She checked the app again. Nothing. Just an empty recording. The notifications became a nightly ritual. 11 p.m. on the dot. Motion at your front door. And every night, S would watch the live feed, her heart hammering against her ribs. The man would be there, standing a little closer each time. One night, he was at the edge of the lawn. The next, he was halfway up the walkway. His expression never changed. A blank, vacant stare directed right into the camera. And every single time, the recorded clip showed nothing. No man, no movement, just a still, silent porch. She called Ring customer support. They were polite and unhelpful. Their system showed no malfunctions. The device was working perfectly. They suggested she change her Wi-Fi password. The horror wasn't in a jump scare. It was in the slow, meticulous invasion. It was the sound of the notification chime, a sound that now made her flinch. It was the dread that built from 10:45 p.m. onwards, a countdown to terror she alone could see. Mark started sleeping in the guest room, saying her tension was keeping him awake. She felt isolated, trapped in a nightmare validated only by a fleeting live feed. Then last week, the notification came at 10:59 p.m. She almost didn't look, but she had to. She opened the app. The live feed loaded. He was right there. His gaunt face filled the screen, so close the camera could barely focus. His pores were visible, his chapped lips, the faint red veins in his white sunken eyes. He was so close, the camera infrared reflector was casting a hellish red glow onto his features. He was leaning in, having finally arrived at the device itself. Tears streamed down S's face as she watched, frozen in her bed. This was it. He was here. And then he slowly raised one finger, pale and long, and pointed it directly at the camera lens. He held it there for a moment. Then his lips moved. No sound came through the app, but she could read the word he mouthed, clear as day. Mine. The live feed cut out. Sarah finally screamed. A raw, primal sound that brought Mark running from the other room. She was sobbing, hyperventilating, shoving the phone at him. He's there. He's right outside. Call the police. This time, Mark didn't argue. He saw her sheer, unadulterated terror. He called 911. 2 police cars arrived within minutes, lights flashing, painting their bedroom walls in pulses of blue and red. The officers drew their weapons and circled the house. They searched the yard, the perimeter, the entire neighborhood. They found nothing. No footprints in the damp grass. No signs of disturbance. Nothing. One officer, a kind-faced veteran, came back to the door where S and Mark were standing. "Ma'am, are you absolutely sure you saw someone? We've got K9 units coming, but they haven't picked up a scent." Defeated and trembling, S opened the Ring app to show him the proof. She pulled up the history for the night. The notification was there. Motion at your front door. 10:59 p.m. She clicked on it. The video played. It was 15 seconds of their empty front porch, perfectly still, perfectly quiet. The timestamp in the corner ticked down normally. There was no man, no finger, no whispered word. The officer gave her a look that was a mixture of pity and exhaustion. "Ma'am," he said gently, "maybe you should get some rest." The police left. Mark didn't say a word. He just went back to the guest room, closing the door with a quiet, final click. S sat alone on the couch in the dark living room, staring at her phone. She felt the fragile remains of her sanity crumbling. She was about to throw the phone across the room when it chimed again. A new notification. Not from Ring. It was from her home app, the one connected to the smart lock on their front door. The message was simple, and it filled her with a cold that reached into her very soul. Front door unlocked. And from the guest room down the hall, she heard her husband's phone chime in perfect, horrifying unison.